Well, mostly because like we didn't want people who only had a certain set of experiences telling the story about pluralities of experiences.
We didn't want it to be homogenous in any direction.
Right. And so we had this original roster that was just hugely diverse and like pretty representative of America, like as a cross section. And as the project wore on at the planning stages, it became more and more obvious that like people couldn't make the gig. They have families, they have to be out of town in other towns, things like that. So we went with people who would be able to just play the music very well, but maybe didn't represent America as a cross section of the band.
Yeah, because basically what happened was like, so saxophone section, we had in mind, I think it was a woman, an African-American man, and a white man. And so we asked the female saxophonist, she couldn't do it. We asked the second female saxophonist, she couldn't do it. After that, there aren't a whole lot of professional female saxophonists running around Bloomington. So do you go with a female saxophonist whose skill set may not be catered towards what the band needs? Or do you go with somebody who can really play the music and is conscientious but may not be that demographic? And we went with the second option. We ran through some of the people who we had originally wanted to get for this project, and demographically there just weren't other people standing in line, with the same skill set.
And I wouldn't have been comfortable putting somebody in a situation where they wouldn't like sound really great, but they fit the demographic, and then people would start talking about that, go, you don't have the job because such and such. Like that's a really uncomfortable position to put in.
It's also important to set examples, of how to positively interact with society as a white male or whatever your demographic may be. And so that can still be a very positive thing.
I was thinking about this the other day because there's like a lot of people who look like me are like, oh, there's a problem. I would like to help. I'm helping. I'm going to do the things that I see. I'm going to do the things that I see other people doing to help the thing out. But the thing is, you wind up looking a lot like people who have hurt them in the past, and so that action is taken as like, oh my God, it's happening. No, that's never. And so you have to learn how to work around how people who look like you have basically ruined your image.
So yeah, hopefully this will be a positive example from someone of any demographic.
What is the role of a musician in the modern world?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to know, as current musicians of the day, where we came from, tradition, and then come out with something that's just like, wow, I've never heard that before in my entire life, and it's so much cooler because it's coming from something that's so natural.
Do you think jazz is important, and why not?
The national idiom of a country is very important, so it took a while for people to find one here, and jazz became the genre or the music, the kind of music that people define as a national idiom, and it's just a representation of there is of course the influence of the European culture and the Afro-American culture, and this is something that happens in other countries too, that's not just in the US. The mix between the rhythmic from Africa and a couple instruments from Europe are gonna change the way that people think about music.
What is the role of a musician in the modern world?
At the most basic level, interaction. Like, it's people. I mean, you can use music you can use it to entertain. You can use it to educate. You can use music to say, "Hey, I love you," and just as easily say, "Hey, I just really don't like you, man." And I don't know. I feel like something really, really great about that.
Do you think music has power to influence social change, and can you name a personally meaningful moment when you witness music affecting social change?
For me, a personally meaningful moment when I witness music affect social change. Most of my life I grew up like on the other side of the tracks where black people lived here and white people lived there. And I'm not gonna say that, well, I won't say that prejudice went one way. It definitely was both ways. The blacks where I lived didn't want to necessarily mingle with the white people either. It was a mutual feeling, a mutual tension. And to me, whenever I was in high school and a friend of mine asked me to join this band that he was taking a part of, and I was really hesitant, but that first performance that we had was just really profound to me, to see like actual mixed people dancing, no matter where you're from. I saw Hispanics, blacks, whites, Asians, and that was like the first time I ever seen anything like that. And I thought that was super cool. And to me, it really showed that music transcends the people who make it. It's so much more profound, and it speaks to something so much deeper than what's on the skin, what's on the outside.
From the start, we wanted to make it clear to the members of the band that this was a collective and that there was collective authority, and that the decisions regarding the music would be made with a democratic process. And Matt and I may have decided what chord changes go in what measure, but we really tried to create a space in which people could bring their own ideas and their own interpretations. And so during the rehearsals, people did give quite a bit of input of, I think we should rehearse this more, or I think this needs to be louder, or I think we should try moving this section.
The thing that always gets me about Duke Ellington's writing, is that he's writing for a person, and that's why it sounds so good. He's not just like, your changes, whoever sounds good should do. And so there's a lot of me being like, Sean Weber would sound so good on a shuffle. It would be nuts. Let's stick him in there. And there's other moments of like, I really think that Joel Tucker would sound really nice here, doing like a Bill Frisell thing. I really think that, and so writing for those people, and then when it came time to put it in front of them, I think Sam Motter actually said a thing. It might not have been in a rehearsal. It might have been in, like, just in passing. He's like, so you want us to sound like the most like ourselves, right? Like, yeah, there's not really another option for you. You don't get to sound like somebody else, Sam. Today is the day you sound like Sam Motter.
Even though Matt and I have been the composers for a lot of the music, it's really these people speaking. It's their voices through the music, which makes me feel so proud and, again, so humbled.
How do you feel about this project?
I feel really good about it. I'm really happy to be involved with it. It's definitely some of the most thought-provoking and meaningful music I've had the chance to play. It's all original, which is really cool. I really admire Hannah and Matt's ambition in going through this and doing the writing and putting the band together, and they're being really professional and just great about it in every way. So yeah, it's been really cool to be a part of.
I'm kind of used to being really the only female in pretty much any group I've been in. So a lot of times I don't really notice it until it's pointed out to me, sure. Like now. But I don't have anything against being one of the only women in a group. I do wish more women were involved, and I hope that, groups like this and things like this would inspire more young women to kind of look to be in something like this later in the future and to get involved in music.
They brought in some really cool players, guys that I haven't seen in a long time, like Duran and Joel Tucker. There's some very good cats on this album.